Hello everyone, it's Sue Jerome here again with my podcast, Life with a Purpose. This one will be episode 3. And I just wanted to give you a bit of a background of my life growing up. I've got a lot of my kids' photos up there to come. But I just wanted to share that when I grew up, it was sort of a good life, but it was hard at the same time. Like in the photos, you see me smiling, but it wasn't a lot of smiles as I grew up. So I just want to start sharing with you how I had to grow up. I'm going to share about my birth and about how I grew up in my eyes. I'm hopefully going to bring that out to show you. So up on the board, I've got some baby photos of me, but the one in the middle is just after I was born. I think that was my christening or something like that, because back in the day we believed in being christened. But a while back I was asking my mum before she passed away about my birth, and she just started sharing with me that she was due to have me on about the 5th of April. So when the 5th of April came around, she had the contractions and she went into the hospital, but of course it stopped when she got there. So they didn't know what was going on and they didn't understand, because back in the day they didn't have a lot of technology for the women to help them with the birth. So she sent me back. They sent her back home, and I think, and they said, "Well, look, we'll see how you go, and if nothing's happening by 2 weeks, we'll bring you in, and we can help you with the birthing process." So that's exactly what happened. She went home and she waited and was wondering what was going on, and then by the about the 18th of April, she rang up the doctor, or they must have called her in and said, "Look, we'll come in and we'll see what happens." So she said to me, really, what all she really said was, when she was about to give birth, she said, "Look, if you have trouble, we'll help you with the forceps." And she's going, "Oh, I don't really want to use the forceps." But because they didn't know what I would look like inside the womb, because we didn't have the ultrasound, they were just sort of expecting it to be a normal birth. So I think the process started and I was being birthed, but I think at one point they realised that my face was stuck up against the uterus wall. So they needed to help me come out. So they ended up using the forceps to get me out, and then of course they brought me out. And then when they saw me, they were in shock. They didn't know what had happened. So instead of putting me on Mum's chest, they actually took me away. And as they did that, they said, "Oh my God," and they didn't know what it was themselves. So they must have taken me away to examine me, to have a look at what I looked like. Because also what Mum explained to me was I had one of my arms, like this arm maybe in the front of my chest, and maybe this left arm in the back of my chest. So I wasn't really born like you see me today. The arms were in different positions. And so they had to examine me and wondered why and what had happened. And anyway, after a few hours, they did end up bringing me back to Mum and showing me to them, to Mum and Dad. I think they called Dad in as well. And anyway, they go, "Oh, we don't know what happened, but, this is your baby." Well, what Mum said to me was, when she saw me, she said that, "Well, there's no doubt about it. This is my baby and I'm going to take her home." And I just thank the Lord that she did, because I've heard of other women who've had thalidomide babies and they've actually said, no, we're not taking the baby home. We'll put them up for foster or adoption. So I just want to thank the Lord for my mum, because there was no qualms about leaving me behind. She was taking me home. And I think to a point my dad as well. So there was a great rejoicing in my birth and my christening as well. And the one on the left near closest to me, that's another one. I think I was about 6 months old there, and of course I couldn't sit up. And it was just a photographer's photo of me. And that's pretty much about what I used to look at life, just stared and thought of things very much. And so, of course, I don't remember much of my babyhood, but I know that Mum was there. She was always caring for me. And when with my arms, she had to, when I'd go lie down, she'd have to manipulate or move my arms into the position they are today. And I'd have to lay on my back. And so thankfully they were able to get to my arms on the side. But sometimes I make a joke and I say, well, I'm a righty, but I could have been a lefty, because they could have put the big arm on the left side and the little arm on the right. But thank God I'm a right-handed person. So I just want to thank the Lord that, he really looked after me even from that time on. And, of course, when I was little too, of course, because I had no arms, I couldn't crawl. So what I started to do was I learnt to move around on my bottom. I used to have one leg, I think it was my left leg, I used to slide myself around if I wanted something on the floor or on the other side of the room. So I would start doing that, and I would get to that, whatever I wanted, and I picked it up and just played with it with my feet. And then, as you can see in the next picture there, you can see me standing up on my feet. I eventually did. But I think Mum said I was about a year and a few months old before I started standing. But what she remembers of me was, she remembers me going to the lounge. I must have slid over there on my bottom, and I wiggled my way up the lounge, and I started standing up. And as soon as I stood up, I started to walk. But I think it was also because my brother was walking at the time. He was two years older than me. And also, seeing Mum and Dad walk around. So Mum seemed to think that when I did that, as soon as I got up, I just started walking. And of course I fell down a lot. And but that was a real happy time. And the arm and the lady in the picture is actually my grandmother. And she came over to help me a lot, help Mum out a lot with me. And then, of course, in the middle was my favourite swing. I'm much older here, but in there was, it was my favourite swing. I loved to swing because I could use my arms and my legs to swing, because that's how I learnt to swing a lot of things and do a lot of things with my arm. And, of course, when I was standing, I would balance on one leg and use the other foot to get or do whatever, or I'd bend down and grab whatever with my arms. And so it was a lot of misadventures. I mean, I remember Mum telling me a story. I'd be walking and then I'd fall over, and she'd said she'd hear the thump, and then she'd wait for me to cry, and if I cried, she'd come and see what happened. But if I didn't cry, she'd probably hear me running to her crying, "Mum, I fell over." But she wasn't very protective of me, because she was told to let me figure things out for myself. And I'm glad she did, because she helped me become very independent in a lot of ways. So, and that swing was sort of my get away from life situation. I'd just sit there and swing and swing and swing, and I just loved the freedom of movement. It was really good. And of course, the last photo on the end is really, I put it up as mine, but it's actually my dad holding my brother when he was a baby. So we had some good times, but a lot of grumpy times. I'd get whingeful, I'd be unhappy about something because I couldn't do it right and things like that. But my life was pretty good before I went to school. And here I am on a trike that my brother could ride, but I couldn't really ride it. And he was holding me for the photo. But my brother and I got on well, quite well. But we'd actually have little fights when we were little, and I'd go into his room or something and we'd start fighting. I'd start kicking him and he'd hit me back or something, and say, stop, don't do that. But and it got quite violent actually. As we got older, I got a bit harder and kicked him, and of course I'd run because he'd punch me back because it had hurt, you see. Anyway, he would, and then I'd go running out to Mum and say, Mum, he punched me. And I hope Mum said, well, what did you do? But anyway, so that was my relationship with my brother. But also I do remember something that did happen to me. I was following my brother around as a little annoying sister, because back in the day we could roam around our neighbourhood quite safely and be a part of the neighbours and play with all the neighbours. And my brother used to go hang around with some guys, some of the boys in the neighbourhood, and I'd be the annoying sister and I'd follow them. But one day I've just remembered that one day I was following them and something happened, and they actually, I found myself on the ground, and they were doing something quite rude to me, and the next thing I knew that they had all gone, and the neighbour's mum had seen what had happened and come out to rescue me and helped me get back up, and I went home after that. So I never really hung around with my brother anymore because of that incident. And I don't know what happened with my brother and I, whether we separated. We didn't have much time together, but it was a bit of a hard thing to go through, what I went through. But, going back to when I was walking around as well, was Mum shared an experience with me that I had forgotten about as well, was when I was walking around, we had some stairs at the back of our house, because all these photos are being taken in our house now, in our brand new house. And she said to me that they were worried about me falling, so they got a little helmet made for me so that if I fell, I wouldn't hurt my head so much. Anyway, well, one day I decided I wanted to go outside, so I had this helmet on, and we had about 6 or 7, maybe 8 stairs down to the backyard. Anyway, for some reason I went down the back stairs, and then I must have missed a step, and I fell down on my head, and I'm sure the whole neighbourhood heard me crying and screaming because of what had happened. So Mum raced out to find me on the bottom of the stairs, screaming and just frantic and all that. But I want to thank the Lord, because they did get this helmet made for me, and the helmet cracked in half, but my head didn't, thankfully. But it was just a horrendous thing. So after that, I ended up having a fear of stairs, so I made sure I stopped before I went downstairs. So it's been a really big thing for me with stairs. And then of course escalators are a whole new thing because they're moving things. But it was really, was a hard thing to learn, but I learned it very quickly. So I just want to thank the Lord that he looked after me then too. And the next photo is of Mum and myself in a GFS uniform, which is the Girls Friendly Society. And of course, growing up, Mum would put me into everything that she could so that I'd be occupied, I'd be used to people my age and they'd be used to me. Because in the community of Baulkham Hills where we used to live, everybody knew me because they knew me as the girl with the short arms. And of course, growing up too, I was in papers a fair bit, and I was doing a lot of activities. So, and they were mainly about learning about God, and GFS was one of those I was learning about God and how he loved me and how to be a part of a group and a team. And but I do remember sometimes when we were doing activities, I'd get so angry and frustrated and I start chucking the tantrum and getting really worked up because I couldn't do it as perfect with my feet as the other girls were. And they'd all try and say, oh, but it's good, it's good, it's good. But really, in my own heart, I knew it wasn't because I was doing it with my feet and not my arms. But so I learnt very quickly also not to throw tantrums as much because people did not want to know me at all. But when I did throw the tantrums, I'd go home and I'd cry to the Lord and say, Lord, help me, because I don't like what I do, but it's just my way of showing how frustrated I am in life and with life, with things. So if you can think about it, my relationship with the Lord was reasonably good, but I also hated God for what had happened to me because I thought it was all his fault, and I really hated him. So one minute I was hating him, and the next minute I was loving him and saying, Lord, help me. So when I called out to him, he helped me. He did help me get through it. But I always loved going home and staying home because that was my safe haven. I could be who I really wanted to be at home because I felt like I had to put on a front and everything like that. So it was really hard growing up, and it was hard too with my sister. I mean, everybody loved her because she was the baby and then, being the middle child. But I thought it was all because of my disability, but it wasn't. I'm realising now it's not. It was just she was the baby and everybody loved her. So this last picture on the right in front of my dad's Holden, which we had for quite a few years, which we had all bar seats in the front and the back. We did quite a few adventures in those. We did round trips in New South Wales and South Australia and Victoria in that car. And we had no seat belts in the back at that time, and we were really blessed that we didn't have an accident in that car. It was a beautiful car. But that's me standing in front in my school uniform. Now that's the cardigan that my mum knitted. And it looks brown there, but it was actually a dark grey. And I loved that cardigan even though it was quite big, but it kept me really warm. And you can notice too that my hair was quite short because I think Mum thought the best thing for me was to have short hair. I could look after it better. But that's why I've had short hair, and now I have long hair, so somebody can look after it for me. So that was my first day at school in winter. But I loved school. It was really good. I learned a lot at school. Now, I just want to draw your attention to the photo in the middle. This was me in primary school. But the reason why it's a photo like that was back when I was about 8 years of age, I saw in the Sun newspaper. We had the Sun newspaper back then. And they had a kids section. So I wrote in, because I said to Mum one day, I said, Mum, how come I don't get things in the mail? Because I couldn't understand it. Anyway, Mum said, well, why don't you write into the do the competition on the Sun Kids page, and so I did. Anyway, when they found out that I'd won the prize or whatever, and then they found out I was disabled, they actually wanted to take a photo of me. So they organised to come to my school. Now, you don't see the colour because it's black and white, but my uniform was blue. Those dark squares were blue with a little bit of yellow, and that was Borkham Hills Central School, which you see up on Windsor Road. You see the old schoolhouse on Windsor Road, near the M2. Anyway, this was them taking a photo of me so they could put it in the newspaper. And so that was a big deal for me. And it was one of the many times I was in the paper. And they just loved me, and I loved that photo. It was a really precious photo for me. I don't know if, I think I did win a prize, but it wasn't the prize. But anyway, but the one on the left is my first year in high school. That was the Northmead High School uniform. And of course you can see I've now grown my hair. So Mum was able to, at this stage, pin it back. But you'll see later on I ended up tying it back because, you know, being young, you run around and you do kid stuff a lot. But just going back to primary school was a difficult year because I was still finding out who I was and what I was doing. And up until the point of year 3, I was writing with my foot. And I loved writing with my foot. But it was getting hard actually to lean down. I had a table that on the floor that I could use, but I found that a little bit difficult. That was in year 1 and year 2. And then they decided, we'll get you a typewriter. So they got me a typewriter. And back in those days, typewriters were really noisy. So I didn't like those. But I did try it for a year, but I was glad I didn't have to do it after that. But so I was learning to write with my foot and typewriter. But when I got to year 3, I think it was the year after this photo was taken, I had an older teacher, and I remember her to this day. Her name was Mrs. McKee. And I didn't know this, but a friend of mine came back into my path and she said, when you were in year 3, you were so upset because Mrs. Key couldn't read your foot writing. She wanted you to write. So you'd go back to the corner and you'd start crying and say, I can't do this. But after a while, I began to realise that I could do it. But it was hard. I mean, I had to lean on the table, I had to hold the paper, had to write with my hand, and it was getting hard because I hadn't done it before. Anyway, I think by the end of that year, I ended up learning to write very clearly with my hand. And I could still write clearly with my foot, but it was, as I said, it was getting hard to see what I was writing from up here. So I was grateful, eventually realising now that writing with my hand was a good thing for me, because then when we went into high school, I was able to write a lot because we were asked to write a lot at school. But also in primary school, I had good years as well, because even though I was in year 4, I was able to go into the choir that only years 5 and 6 were able to go into, because at that time I was singing and everybody said I had a really good voice, so a high voice. So they let me go into the choir from year 4 onwards. So I loved that part of the choir, and that's when I started to get a love for singing. And then I think when I was about 11 or 12, Mum got me into singing lessons, because also in primary, with the outside school activities, I couldn't play soccer because it wasn't good for girls to play soccer with the boys. The girls had netball and the boys had soccer. And then, of course, I couldn't play either because I didn't have the arms for netball and girls weren't allowed to play with the boys for soccer. So I sort of had a few ups and downs and that. And I had some really good friends over the years. They were very nice to me. I wasn't always very nice to them because I'd get very jealous. Because if they got praised and I didn't, I'd be very jealous. And so I had a big thing of jealousy in my life. And I remember having my friends down the road, the twins, and when it was the weekend, I'd stand at the top of the hill and say, "Come on, you can come up. Mum said you can come up. Ask your mum." So that was our telegraph system from down the hill. But yeah, we sort of knew each other growing up, and we also had to walk to school from home, which wasn't too far for us, but it was, hard time. And I remember Mum saying, "You are not to walk in the park. You got to go up around the street because you don't know who's in the park." So I remember that, even though I was tempted to go through the park a few times. But anyway, and then, of course, we finished year 6. We finished with a bang. I remember doing the Joseph and his Technicolor Dreamcoat, and that was in about 1975, I think, 74, 75. I did that, and that was the best thing because that was all about Joseph, and I thought, oh, wow, here's a musical all about Joseph and his story, because I knew this story of Joseph through the Bible and going to Sunday school. Anyway, in year 7, I was going to Northmead High School, but of course we were all put in classes and there were some new people I didn't know of. So my best friend is the girl on the right, the little girl next to me in the maroon colour on the other picture there. Her name was Rosemary, and she had a back problem like scoliosis or like bending of the spine. Anyway, that was us at a school excursion up at, I think, Windsor. Excuse me. And I just wanted to show you that photo of my friend because she was a good friend to me. But in year 8, she went to have an operation on her back, and she was in a cast for most of that year, having to do work from school. But in year 7, we got to hang about. I went into her classroom in year 7. Excuse me, I'm going to have a drink of water. Anyway, I was put in her home class because, you know what, in high school we go to different classes later. And, excuse me, I felt really secure being there. And she was a really good friend, but we don't see each other now. But anyway, so of course when I went into high school, I got involved in the choir, of course, and that was my best thing. And I loved music. I loved history in high school. Didn't like maths very much, although we did have a really good maths teacher. He taught us every Friday. We'd go through the times tables out loud. You know, we'd go through the 7 times 7, 7 times 8, 7 times 9. And that's how we learnt it, and that's how he taught us in high school. And I think a lot of people in his class were very grateful for that. But sadly, we lost him that year. He went on a trip for long service, and I only knew that because Mum had asked him when he got to Singapore if he could buy myself and my sister a glory box. So he did. He went to Singapore. He bought the 2 glory boxes and sent them home for us. But not long after that, he actually got in a MG with, I think, his wife. And unfortunately, they had an accident with a semi-trailer, and he went under the semi-trailer. And we lost him that year, and it was very sad because he was a really good, one of those good teachers. So I thank the Lord for Mr. Grant. I missed him. Anyway, so then in high school, as you can see, these are me with older dresses. I I don't know why I've got them here, but I just wanted to show you me and my outfit. I'd always have to have short sleeves, and I loved that dress, but I also loved the hairstyle, even though it was a bit harsh on my hair. But yeah, with Mum, she said to me, you either have your hair short and one length or long and one length. So was the result of it, my long hair. And then on the other photo with me in the swimming cozy or the bikini, I just wanted people to see my strong legs, because my legs were actually my arms too. So that's why I've got big legs, and I've always had them sort of growing up, because I had to use them both as legs and as arms. And that one at the rock pool, that's actually Curl, where we used to go for our holiday house. And it was beautiful. We'd go there every summer at the end of the year. And the one in the red and white is my mum and dad's house. And I don't know why, I just wanted to take pictures of me every year just to show people how I developed. But the one in the middle is the old-fashioned one. I went with my mum and dad to a place called Lightning Ridge. They went away with a group of friends for the weekend, or a busload of friends. Actually, they were Masonic people, but anyway. And we had the opportunity to dress up. So I got dressed up as one of the girls in the saloon days. So again, I'm in short hair. So it was either long or short. And of course, it was straight. So if I wanted to get curls, I had to get a perm in my life, in my hair. So it started off tight, but it didn't last very long. I think I had it for about 3 months before it started falling out. So this is me. I think in the bikini I'm in year 6 or 7, and the other one's about year 7 or 8. So yeah, it wasn't always easy, because I'd always be recognised, or I'd be sticking out somewhere in the society, and I didn't always like the hello or stares, but it was good. This is my year 7 class, and I was in with, of course, I was the tallest of the girls, next to Mandy. She was next tallest. I think my friend, oh, that's right, my friend Rosemary is not in the picture, but I made some new friends. And the guy on the top right of your screen, I think he was Glenn. I liked Glenn. He was very good bloke. But I didn't end up going out with him or anything. But this is our school uniform. And we had some good times that year. I also had some bad times. But anyway, well, I got through it. Now, the one on that is actually me on a horse. That's the first time I'm on a horse, and the only time I ever got on a horse. But that was when I was in the choir in Fiji. We decided we'd see if we could go on the beach, on the horse. And the poor kid, I said, I'm so scared, please stay on the horse with me. Because he was the owner or brought the horses over for us to have a ride, and he did. And I think I managed to walk the horse up the one end of the beach and on the way back. But a few of us from the choir decided to do that just for a change. But I'm glad I did it, but I actually felt sorry for the horse because I thought it was too heavy. So I have had some good years in my life, but always a downer. I'd be going on and happy, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, somebody didn't like what I did or whatever. So I'd go down and get down. But then after a while, when I talked to the Lord, I'd get back again and he would help me. Now, this photo is of me. I don't know if you can see me. I'm in the second row, second from your left. And that was me at music camp. I went to music camp with these girls, and we were staying in the dorm. This was at the Narrabeen Sport and Recreation area over in Narrabeen. And we spent the week there. We learnt, some of the girls were in the orchestra, and of course I was there for singing. And I loved that. It was awesome, that music camp. I loved singing. Wherever I went, I loved to sing. And it was really, really good. Well, I made some good friends there, I think. I think I made a friend, Carol, there. Anyway, it was really, really good. I can't see her in the photo, but they were some really good girls. And we'd sit and we'd wait for our supper and dinner or lunch or breakfast, and we'd just sit there and sing. It was just awesome. It was amazing. And we'd learn to harmonise, or we'd sing the melody and everyone else would harmonise. And that was one of the best times I liked. Singing was always my freedom and my way of sharing my life. Yeah, so this is not just another one. On the right, your right, is me doing long jump. Because everybody thought, why don't you try long jump? Because you got long legs. So I did, but I never really won anything. But I did love doing it. I love to run. That's Northmead High School, the back of Northmead High School. It's one of the teachers and one of the girls checking out how far she jumped. But it was really, it was hard. It was hard, but I did it, and the cross country was the hardest for me, having to run and sort of make sure I didn't fall over and trip over. I didn't, thankfully. But athletics was okay. I remember being in athletics outside of school, and I had these spikes on, and I was in a race, and I was at one of the last in a 800, so you start further up. Anyway, I thought, oh, I'm winning. And then we get into the straight, and of course all the girls run straight past me, and I come in second last or something like that, and I got really upset. But anyway, I just started realising that it wasn't really for me, athletics. But so I'm walking around with the girls and talking, then all of a sudden I step back with my spikes on, and one of the girls, I put my spikes straight into her foot, and I'm going, oh no, I'm so sorry. Funnily enough, it didn't really hurt her too much because I managed to get through the bones or something, I don't know. But I sort of didn't put my whole weight on it, thankfully. But I realised then, I said, no, Mum, I'm not going to do athletics. I'm too dangerous with spikes on. So I didn't do that after that. But when I did the long jump, I was actually able to run with bare feet back in the day. I don't think you're allowed to do that now, but anyway. But I loved everything to do with school. Also, when I was at school, was the very first and only time one of my PE teachers, she had us all on a trampoline, and we were all doing somersaults. And when it came to me, she got the special training harness, and she got two of my classmates to stand on either side of the trampoline, up on the trampoline, and they held that while I just flipped. And gee, that was amazing. I'll never forget it. I did a front one and I did a back one, and it was really, really good. So I had some good times in Northmead as well. And of course the choir, we did everything with the school choir. We went to the Opera House, we went into a Stedfords, we had time, we were actually representing our school, and a lot of the time we won. And we were hard to beat at one stage. And the one in the middle, I just wanted to show you, that was my 21st. We had a little marquee in the back of the house, and funnily enough, I invited my husband's sister and her husband at the time to my 21st, because they were Christians, and a few of my friends, but I didn't invite Wayne. Sorry, Wayne. But I just wanted to show you that, again, here's my hair being short, and I had a perm, but it was starting to fall out, so it made my hair look a little bit better. And that was my favourite outfit at the time. I don't know if it suited me, but I liked the outfit. It was really good. And then, of course, this one again is me growing my hair. And I don't know, I think that was when I started coming to the fellowship. That was one of the photos that was taken of me with my hair starting to grow. And I think that was a salamander dress I had bought through one of our salamander parties. But yeah, when I had my eyes on Jesus, everything was fine. But when I started doing things on my own, that's what I found, that I was on my own and I felt alone. But knowing that I could talk to Jesus, he helped me through a lot of my life. And even in the down times, I wouldn't say I was really depressed, because I never had time to be depressed. I was so busy doing other things. But he helped me through the down times. So I want to thank the Lord for that. So I think that's all my photos. I'm not sure if I have any more. But anyway, I just wanted to share some of my life and what I look like, especially with my hair. But during this time too, I was starting to learn to sing, and I started to go into the choir, the Linnet Girls Choir. And also, when I reached 17, I really wanted to get my license. So I was really able to do that. That was a challenge in itself. So I might do that the next episode and let you know about how I got my license and what I had, the obstacles I had to face. And I would like to, share that, and of course share my experiences with the choir. But I just hope you to show you some of my life. That, yeah, a lot of the time I did smile in the photos, but sometimes I felt really down. And to the point, I will explain that I remember a couple of times of thinking of killing myself. But the funny thing is, when I thought about it, I thought, if I try and kill myself with a knife, I can't. I haven't got strength in my arms. So I let that go. I realised that, well, that's no point. And then I thought, if I could jump in front of a train. No, I can't jump in front of a train. It's too permanent. And so this is how I was thinking, but it was how the Lord got me out of it, made me realise how silly it was. Because, like I've got here, I had a purpose. My life has a purpose, and so does your life. You have a purpose in life. And whether you believe in Jesus or not, he's still there waiting for you if you want him to be a part of your life. Because if I didn't have Jesus in my life, I don't know where I would be today. I may have killed myself. But Jesus was always there for me. And my mum, she was there too. But she was a Christian and she prayed. I'm sure prayer from Mum helped me get through a lot of it. But it's funny, she would pray for me, but when she did give me some advice, I wouldn't take it. But I just thank the Lord for my mum. And I just also wanted you to see that through this, Mum was able to help me be independent. And there were times when I had to do things I didn't want to do. I had to learn how to go to the toilet by myself, in the sense of how to get my underwear down and so I could go to the toilet. But it helped me to be more independent. There are still things I can't do, like, I can't get fully dressed by myself. I need help with that. But there are a lot of things I can do that I didn't think I could do, like driving the car. I'll talk about it later on, about getting married and having children as well. But the Lord, because I had the Lord in my life, the Lord Jesus in my life, he was the one that gave me purpose. His my life meant something to him, and he loves me for who I am. And one day I had it out with God. I said, God, why did you do this? Why did you put me in the way I am? And then I realized that it wasn't him that did it. It was man through the drug of thalidomide. But he showed me my life had a purpose. So thank you, everyone. And if there's anyone who wants to share anything, you can talk to me in the chat. Or if you want to get in contact with me, I'll leave you my email address. And you can email me and talk to me about anything you need or would like to know any more about me. Also, I am in the throes of finishing a book I've started writing, but I'll bring that out to you more later. It's not anywhere near feeling finished, but it will be available in the next year or so. So I just wanted to thank the Lord for this podcast, and I want to thank you all for joining me today.